It was late autumn, the kind of season when the forest feels heavier. The air is damp, the nights come fast, and the trails feel wrong. I had gone hiking alone before. Too many times, honestly. It gave me a sense of control, of silence, of being away from everything. But that day, something followed me. I drove up to Raven's Peak, a mountain range in the north. Dense pines, jagged rocks, the kind of place people vanish in. The locals warned me. Stay off the trail after dark. They said strange things happen up there. Voices, lights, things you can't explain. I laughed it off. Just stories, right? Every town has their myths. Every trail has its ghost tales. But myths have roots. The trail was narrow. Wet leaves clung to my boots. The wind howled through the branches, making them creak like bones. I hiked fast, my backpack heavy with gear. About 3 miles in, I noticed it. A sound, like crunching leaves. Behind me, I froze, held my breath, waited. Nothing, just the forest, just silence. I shook it off, kept walking. But the sound came again, closer this time. Like someone following my exact steps. I spun around. No one. The trail stretched back empty, fading into shadows. The deeper I went, the darker it became. The trees leaned inward, swallowing the sky. And then, the light started. At first, faint, like fireflies, soft, glowing orbs between the trees. I stopped, watched them flicker. Too big for insects, too steady. Almost like lanterns and moving in rhythm, I whispered to myself. Probably campers. But deep down, I knew better. There were no voices, no laughter, no smoke, just those lights, shifting through the woods. And then, I realized something. They weren't ahead of me, they were circling. I quickened my pace, boots slamming into the muddy ground. The lights matched me, dancing, weaving, always just beyond the tree line. My heart pounded. I wanted to run, but I knew better. Running blind in these woods meant broken bone, dirt, or worse. I told myself to keep calm, to stay rational. But every instinct screamed, get out. About 5 miles in, the trail split. Left led deeper into the forest. Right curved toward an old fire tower. I'd read about it, abandoned years ago. I should have turned back, but the thought of those lights chasing me down the same path, it felt worse. So I went right. The tower loomed ahead, rusty, rotting, its silhouette like a skeleton against the moon. I climbed the stairs 2 at a time, metal groaning under my weight. The higher I went, the colder it got. When I reached the top, I finally looked down. The lights, dozens of them now, all gathered at the base of the tower. They weren't random. They were arranged, in a circle. I gripped the railing, my breath turning white in the air. The lights pulsed, in unison, like a heartbeat, like they were alive. Then, they began to move, slowly. The circle widened, encircling the tower itself. I whispered, "This isn't real. This isn't real." But it was. The air changed. Thicker, heavier. Every hair on my body stood up. I could hear something now. Low, humming. Not voices, but vibrations. Like the trees themselves were singing. And then, the lights started to rise. They floated upward, slow and steady. Higher, higher. Until they surrounded the tower. I backed away, pressing myself against the cold wall. Trapped. No way down, no way out. The lights grew brighter. So bright my eyes watered. They weren't lanterns. They weren't fireflies. They were something else. Shapes began to form. Figures. Tall, thin. Shadows with no faces. They swayed in the air, like they were watching me. I couldn't breathe, couldn't move. All I could do was stare. And then, silence. The forest went still. No wind, no insects, nothing. One of the figures drifted closer. It hovered just inches from me. And I swear, I felt it. Not on my skin, inside me. Like it was pulling something. Memories. Thoughts. Pieces of me. I gasped. Collapsed to my knees. My vision blurred. The world spun. I thought I was dying. When I opened my eyes, it was dawn. The tower was empty. The woods were quiet. The lights had gone. I stumbled down, legs shaking. Made my way back to the trail. Every step felt wrong, like I was walking through someone else's body. When I reached my car, I looked in the mirror and froze. My eyes, they weren't the same. The color had changed. A pale, unnatural shade, almost glowing. And in that moment, I realized something. I didn't leave the forest alone.
I never liked night hikes. Something about the silence, the stillness. It feels less like peace and more like being watched. But my friend Marcus, he loved them. He said the dark sharpened the senses, that it stripped away distractions, that if you wanted to truly hear the forest, you had to walk it blind. So I agreed. One night in late summer, we drove out to Hollow Creek, a long, winding trail cutting through steep ridges and deep valleys, the kind of place where phone service vanishes, where the stars seem too close, where sound travels in ways it shouldn't. We started at dusk. The air was thick with the smell of pine sap and damp earth. Cicadas screamed in the treetops. The creek itself whispered in the distance. Marcus walked ahead, his flashlight bobbing. I followed, uneasily scanning the trees. Every shadow looked like it wanted to move. "Relax," Marcus called back. His voice echoed strangely, almost as if the forest repeated it, mocked it. I forced a laugh, but my stomach felt heavy. About 2 miles in, we reached a narrow bridge, old, wooden, barely wide enough for one person at a time. The creek rushed beneath us, dark and endless. The water looked black, like it could swallow anything whole. Halfway across, Marcus froze. His light swung wildly over the trees. "Did you hear that?" he whispered. I stopped breathing. The night pressed in. The cicadas had gone silent. Then I heard it too, a scream. It was faint, but sharp. Not an animal, not wind. Human. Desperate, dragging through the trees like it was caught in the branches. Marcus's face went pale in the beam of his flashlight. He turned to me, eyes wide. "You heard that, right?" I nodded, couldn't speak. My throat was locked tight. The scream came again. Closer this time. Longer. It echoed along the creek, bouncing from ridge to ridge. And then, silence. We ran across the bridge. Neither of us spoke. We just hurried down the trail, our lights cutting weak tunnels through the dark. The further we went, the more wrong it felt. The forest didn't sound like itself anymore. No insects, no creek, just the crunch of our boots and the pounding of our hearts. Then, the scream again, so close it rattled my chest, like it came from right behind us. Marcus spun with his light. Nothing. The beam cut only empty trees, but the scream wasn't just behind us. It was ahead too, and to the side and above. It was everywhere. We stumbled into a clearing. The moon broke through the clouds, casting everything in silver, and that's when we saw it. At the far edge of the clearing, a figure, standing completely still, facing us. It was tall, too tall, arms dangling at its sides, its head tilted unnaturally. Marcus whispered, "Hello?" The figure didn't move, didn't answer, just stood. The scream tore through the clearing again, but the figure's body didn't move an inch. It wasn't screaming. The sound was coming from somewhere else. I grabbed Marcus's arm. "Let's go." My voice shook. My body begged me to run. But Marcus, He stepped forward, flashlight trembling in his hand. The beam landed on the figure's face, and I wish I had never seen it. It wasn't a face, not really. Just smooth skin where eyes and a mouth should have been, like it had been erased. The scream erupted again, louder. So loud I dropped to my knees, covering my ears. When I looked up, the figure was gone. Marcus spun in circles with the light, panicked. "Where is it? Where the hell is it?" I grabbed his pack and yanked him toward the trail. We ran. Branches whipped at our faces. The scream chased us, tearing through the trees, always too close. I don't remember how long we ran. Minutes. Hours. Time broke apart in that forest. When we finally stopped, we were both shaking. Our chests burned. Our legs refused to move. And then we realized we were lost. The trail was gone. No markers. No signs. Just endless trees pressing in. Marcus cursed, shining his light in every direction. I tried to calm my breathing, but then a new sound. Not a scream, a laugh, high-pitched, childlike, but wrong. It echoed around us, bouncing like the scream had, mocking, repeating, filling the night. I clutched my head, begged it to stop, but the forest didn't care. The laugh grew louder. And then it spoke. Not words, not sentences, just our own voices, repeating what we had said earlier on the trail. Every laugh, every whisper, thrown back at us. Marcus broke. He dropped his flashlight and bolted into the dark. "Marcus!" I screamed, my voice cracked. I ran after him, stumbling blind without the light. Branches tore my arms, roots caught my boots, but I chased his sound, his frantic crashing through the brush, until I didn't hear him anymore, only the laugh and the scream. I shouted his name again, only to hear it echoed back to me. Dozens of voices, all mine, all wrong. I collapsed against a tree, sobbing. The forest spun around me. The lights of my mind flickered, ready to go out. And then, silence. When I opened my eyes, it was morning. The forest was calm. Birds sang. The creek whispered. Marcus was gone. His pack lay beside me, his flashlight broken. But of him, nothing. No footprints, no trail. Just empty woods. I stumbled out hours later. Somehow found the parking lot. The ranger was there. He asked where my friend was. I opened my mouth. But no sound came out. Because when I tried to speak, it wasn't my voice anymore. It was his.